Hello, in this video we are going to solve these equations and find the value of m and n. Now let's start with this first equation. From here we can have m equals to 5 minus n. Then we can actually substitute this for m in this other equation. So we are going to have 5 minus n times n equals to 5. So let's multiply this out. We are going to have 5n minus n squared equals to 5. So from here, we can decide to multiply everything here by -1. We want this to be positive, so we're going to have, and we can rearrange it, n squared minus 5n. We can as well move this over to this other part, which will be negative, and when you multiply it by negative here, it's going to change to positive 5, and this is simply equals to 0. So this is what we are going to solve. Now this becomes a quadratic equation, and we are going to solve it for the value of n. Now we have n equals to negative plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And from this particular equation here, we have a equals to 1, b equals to -5, and c equals to 5. So let's fix that in this particular formula. So we have n equals to -b, that is, we're going to have 5 plus or minus square root of b squared, we're going to have 25, minus 4ac, we're going to have minus 4 times 1 times 5, that is 20, divided by 2, that is 2 times 1, and this is equals to, we're going to have 5 plus or minus square root of 5 divided by 2. So this now becomes the value for n. Now here is plus or minus, so that means we're going to have n1 is now equals to 5 plus root of 5 divided by 2, and we have n2 is now equals to 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2. Now that is okay. The next thing is for us to solve for n. Now we have solved for n1 and n2. Now it's time to solve for m. Now let's recall. We can have recall that we had m plus n equals to 5. That means let's make use of this particular n1 here. So that means we are going to solve for m1. That means m1 will be, we have m1 plus, we are going to make use of this n1. So we're going to have, instead of n here, we're going to make use of n1, 5 plus root of 5 divided by 2, and this is equals to 5. So from here, we're going to have m1 equals to 5. Then we have minus into 5 plus root of 5, and this is what divided by 2. So let's go. From here we have m1 equals to, let's multiply everything with that negative. You're going to have 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2, and this is over 1. So we can actually multiply everything here by 2. So this will give us m1 is now equals to 2 times 5. We are going to have 10. We have 10 minus 5 minus root of 5 all divided by 2. Now they are now having equal denominator. Look at what we have here and look at what we had here. So we have m1 is now equals to 10 minus 5 is 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2. So this is the value for m1. So now we can have, let's write it as m1 comma n1. So the answer will now be, we go back to what we had for m1. So n1 is now 5 plus root of 5, which is this. and m1 is now 5 minus root of 5, which is this. So what we are going to have is, let's start with m1, and we are going to have 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2, comma, n1 is 5 plus root of 5 divided by 2. Now the next thing is for us to solve for m2. Now in order to do that, we need to go and consider what we had for m2. Okay, for n2. Now this is for n2. 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2. So we are going to use that. So we go over again. Recall, we still had m plus n is equals to 5. That means now we are solving for m2. We are going to have m2, and here we are going to make use of the value of n2. And n2, let me refresh that. Let's get back to that. This is n2, 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2. So we are going to go back and use that. 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2, and this is equals to 5. So I can make a space here. So we have m2 is now equals to, we have 5. This will move over to this part, like what we did before, minus, we have 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2. So we have m2 is now equals to 5. Let's multiply everything with this negative sign. Minus 5 plus root of 5. And this is over 2. So this is over 1. We can multiply this like what we did before by 2. And we are going to have m2 is now equals to, this is times 2. It's not squared, it's times 2. So we are going to have 10 minus 5 plus root of 5. And this is divided by 2. So from here we can have m2 is now equals to 10 minus 5 is 5. And this is 5 plus root of 5 divided by 2. So this now becomes the value for m2. Now, that means we are going to have, our answer will be in this form. m2, comma, n2, which is equals to, m2 is simply 5 plus root of 5 divided by 2, comma, and n2 is simply 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2. So in total, the final answer, you can write it this way. You can write it as m1, n1, then you have, comma, m2, n2, which is like writing m1, we had it as 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2, and n1 we had it as 5 plus root of 5 divided by 2. Then, comma, let's go to m2. This is just m2, which is 5 plus root of 5 divided by 2. And this is n2, 5 minus root of 5 divided by 2. So the whole of this becomes the answer. So that is it for the video. You can as well check if what we have done is actually correct. Now what you need to do is just, let me make a space here. I don't have much space. If you check, m plus n is equals to 5, right? If you want to do that, that means you are simply going to add, let's make use of m2 plus n2. If you add this, the bases are the same. Look at it, the bases here are the same. So you are simply going to have 2 here as the common denominator. So you add 5 plus 5, that is 10. Then positive root of 5 will cancel negative root of 5. So you have 10 divided by 2, which is what? 5. And this corresponds to what we had here. Have you seen that? Now, if you also want to check in the other one, we had m times n equals to what? 5. For you to do this, let's make use of this one as well. Let's make use of m2 and n2. You can as well make use of m1 and n1, any one you want to use. Now, what you need to do is you simply multiply it out. 5 times 5, this times this, that is 25, right? 25. 5 times negative root of 5, that will be negative 5 root of 5. And that will cancel this positive 5 root of 5. So that is out. Then the next thing is for you to multiply this and this. So root of 5 times root of 5 is simply negative 5. Have you seen that? Positive root of 5 times negative root of 5 is simply negative 5. So what you have is divided by 2 times 2. This 2 times this 2 is 4. So we now have 25 minus 5. That is 20 divided by 4. And this is equal to what? 5. So you still get back the 5. So that means these answers are actually very correct. So that's it for the video. Thank you and goodbye.